And hello again. As the title said, it's called Serving the Valley. Roy Justice here, ready to introduce you to, how should I do this? Let's just say the Black Hawk County Wildlife Rehabilitation Project. And I'd like you to meet two people I just met. Stand by. We don't know where this program is going to go. Linda Nebbe has joined us. Thanks, Linda, for
You're
bringing
welcome.
along the spirit.
Yes, it's
The
our
spirit.
pleasure.
Linda Nebbe, frankly, is a walking encyclopedia when it comes to this topic we're about to attack. And by the way, spirit is the name of the owl. Is there a particular type of owl spirit is?
No, I've had two spirits live with me and work with me,
Okay.
and the first one was peaceful spirit, and because she was just a laid back love, soul heart, just amazing. And when the second one came, that's this one. I wanted a different name, and everybody called her Spirit, so I gave in.
And there you are.
And so I call her Natural Spirit.
Okay. Well, since we talked on the phone a few times and communicated thanks to social media, I discovered there was a story, and I couldn't think of any other way to start this
Okay.
program than with this story. So I'll just start it out,
Okay.
and I think you'll know where this is going. Once upon a time, Spirit, pay attention now. Once upon a time, there was a girl who had a dog, and the dog's name was Sugar.
Oh my gosh.
Does that take you back a few years? About how far back do you have to
Oh,
go?
I'm 75, so give a little bit. Yeah, a long time.
A long time.
Yeah.
Do you remember what your mom said about the dog?
I don't know.
Maybe not. I found it. It's amazing what you can find if you
Oh
dig
my
real deep.
gosh, yeah.
Actually, this was a little Cocker Spaniel.
Well, she was a
Terrier?
mix. She was supposed to be
Okay.
a Cocker Spaniel, but she wasn't.
Okay. This is supposed to be an owl, and it really is.
Yeah,
Believe me. But you were talking about your feelings and your dreams, and this is something that really started way back
Yeah,
then.
it did.
I heard a speaker many years ago, and this one just came to my mind as we began the program. There are two very important days in your life.
Okay.
The first one is when you're born, and the second one is when you discover why.
Wow.
And I thought about you and Spirit,
Wow.
because you discovered why
I did.
at an early age.
And the amazing thing is, I don't know if you read it as part of the story, but what Sugar and I, my dog, played in our backyard was there was this mean, wicked witch that froze everything and was cruel to people and animals, and we lived in secret and saved them.
Oh boy, this show may go on for a long time.
Well, maybe you're going to think she needs a shrink, but that's my profession.
That's not
I'm a
what I'm thinking at
psychologist,
all.
or a counselor, so
But you had a lot of animals as a youngster.
I did. Yeah.
And I think your mom said something like, well, you'll grow out of it.
Oh yeah, she was
You know,
hoping.
you didn't grow out of it.
I didn't.
To get to the specifics of the topic, which is the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, where is that?
It's all over. It's actually in our home. We have 6 main members that do rehab, and we all do it out of our own home.
Okay. Geographically,
In mostly Waterloo, Cedar Falls.
Okay.
Yeah.
now, part of the program that we try to instill is it's not just about the personalities or even an owl,
No.
but how you are able to involve others with what it is what you're
Exactly.
doing. The agencies we try to stick with are those that are looking for volunteers.
Yeah.
If somebody's fascinated already about what this is all about, what would a volunteer do in helping you?
You know, it's hard. It's a cumbersome thing because there is so much to learn, and to even get the license to do it is really technical and long.
Okay.
a lot of the things volunteers do, they don't like to do, like clean poop.
Wait a minute, I'm trying to recruit volunteers
Yeah,
for you.
I know. Be ready if you're
Yeah,
coming.
be ready, yes.
Clean up poop. But a lot of ways, volunteers help too. And this goes even broader than coming and doing something. Education is a huge part of what we do. And what do you do if you find an orphan bird on the ground, or if
Right.
you find an animal that's hurt? And so one of the things I think that's happened is we have this huge list of people, and I call them volunteers, okay? And they help us set up programs, they help us reach other people, they bring us animals if they find somebody that's hurt. Sometimes they help with the work that has to be done. They just do an awfully lot of stuff. Very amazing.
And when we talk about numbers of volunteers at any
Yeah,
given time,
wow.
how many are you?
I think we've had over 300 on our list of an email list that we've sent out. People change email addresses, so that's get screwed up. But at least that many, and maybe a lot more as far as people that connect with us.
Okay. I'm not trying to avoid you, Spirit, believe me,
That's
but I
fine.
have a.
She
just a-
sells herself.
Okay, all right. I don't know quite how to have a conversation with you, so you'll have to forgive me. So, you never grew out of this love of animals and helping the animal world.
And helping the people world, because they're part of it too.
Okay, talk to me about that. I know there are stories that are, I mean, people may recognize, particularly younger people who have grown up over the years and have stayed in the territory. Linda Nebbe, no doubt, showed up in a classroom or two or 100
Yeah.
over the years.
We've been in a lot of classrooms. Okay, it's complex, but nature and animals are an important part of human life and health, period. And understanding, knowing how to live with it. I'm going to say something kind of far out and crazy, and I can't really follow it up with any references now, but there's a whole lot of bacteria and stuff out there. People who don't go outside ever are not as healthy as people who do, because we need to be exposed to the outdoors and what's there. That doesn't mean sitting next to an owl necessarily, but over the years, one thing I've seen is less and less going outdoors. I think I read a guy who did a research paper, 90% of the people don't go outdoors. I mean, they just don't if they don't have to. And they're not getting these bacteria and all of the good things that are out there in the environment. And what he discovered also in his study was they were a heck of a lot sicker. They had not what we call non-communicable diseases, which aren't catching, but they're the things that people get that have just exploded over the last 50 years.
Right.
Things like arthritis, things like, oh golly, every time I want to make the list, but it's over 100 different illnesses that humans have gotten that probably are related to the fact they don't go outdoors. It may be lack of activity, but it also might be we're not actually exposed to the things that are out there that are really good for us that we need to be exposed to. In fact, what he learned in his study was he studied families and people that didn't ever go outdoors, and he found that they all had very high levels of these non-communicable diseases. And then except for one group, and they were people that had dogs. So who went outdoors in their family?
Sure.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point.
So, I mean, it's almost comical, but
Well, it hasn't been that long ago. We all remember when we were indoors a lot.
oh, absolutely. Oh my God,
But
yes.
those that got outdoors seemed to do better.
They probably did. And
Okay.
that research is really new. So
Okay.
it's not something that we know a lot about.
Right. Well, you're discovering new stuff all the time.
Oh, yeah.
But looking back, you don't have to go by too far. I just want to pick your brain a little bit here. What was the biggest challenge that you can remember having when something came to your attention that needed some help in the way of the animal life?
You know, it's always a challenge. Early on, when we were young and strong, a big challenge was we'd get a call and be expected to make that call, you know, go out and chase this animal down. We finally decided if we did that, we'd never be able to accomplish anything. And so we asked people to bring the animals to us.
Now there's a hotline number?
There's a hotline number to call. And
when would someone do that?
if they find an wild animal that's orphaned, injured, or they believe there's something wrong with it, and they can call for information, education about it, as well as, hey, it needs help, you know, can I bring it to you? And then we have 6 people in our group that work with the wildlife, and they take it to either somebody close to them in the area, or just, you know, bring it to one of us. And we have a vet we work with, and if it needs that kind of treatment, then, in fact, my husband took off to go to the vet this morning when I came here. So that's probably the biggest challenge, is just the connection. And yet it's the most exciting, because, man, do you meet some really awesome people as well, and stories. It's incredible.
I'm just kind of curious, as we were preparing for the program and the set was being arranged and Spirit was being unveiled to the crew here and everything, you were talking to Spirit.
Yeah.
You talk to Spirit a lot?
I do. Yeah, we talk a lot.
And the challenge that Spirit has recently been going through had some health concerns as well. And Spirit is about how old now?
About 20. Well, we know she's been with me 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah. There could be several years ahead of that.
Now, does Spirit travel with you when you do your classroom presentation?
Yes. Yeah.
And how do you bring Spirit into the...
Same way with you. I put her in a bin and carry her in and take her out and set her beside me. And so she's very used to this kind of activity. Although we have had a year and a half right now with no programs of any kind.
Yes. Well, you weren't alone.
No.
That's for sure. And you didn't do house calls.
No, we didn't do house calls. And I have to say this to all the wonderful people, though, that brought us animals. Man, were people thoughtful and careful. The ones that drove up our driveway always had masks on, except for the guy who had a hawk stuck in his hands and he couldn't do it.
Wow.
Yeah, they were awesome. They were polite. They were very respectful, and it was an awesome thing. But then I think that's the kind of people they are anyway. Yeah.
The kind of, not just birds, but animals that you work with has quite a variety.
Yeah.
The most unusual that you had to deal with? Folks, the stories go on and on and on.
Oh, they
and
do.
You're seeing some examples here of what Ms. Nebby is all about, and some of the help that she's had over the years as well.
Oh my gosh, you know, some of the most unusual or the most common. I have a little raccoon right now that I swear has been more work and more obnoxious than any animal I have ever met.
Okay.
And that's unusual, that he can get in so much trouble. And anyone who knows raccoons know they can do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Particularly if they're in more than one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they can find the strangest places to call home.
Oh, they can. And he has been something else. Oh my gosh. You know, everyone gets to be special in its own way. The ones I end up working with are definitely special, because you do get to know them over time. Believe it or not, when this Spirit came, I'm of course comparing her to the last Spirit, and I'm just thinking, you just don't measure up, kid. And she's gone far beyond.
We were not on the air at the time you talked about the first Spirit. There was a first Spirit.
Yes, there was a first Spirit.
Okay. Similar to this?
Yes, also a barred owl.
Okay.
Also had one eye. and also named Spirit. And the only reason the name held over is because we did so many programs and so many people referred to this bird as Spirit. I was working on a new name. I thought that would be kind of fun, but nope. Everyone wanted me to bring Spirit, or when they saw her there, you've got Spirit. So I had to do that. But that was Peaceful Spirit. This is my Natural Spirit.
Okay. So people now are curious as to how do you go about booking your appearances? Do you have an agent? Does Spirit have an agent?
I'm the agent, I guess. The two numbers that appeared on the screen are numbers you can call.
Okay.
And they'll refer or talk about it.
Do you do your return appearances then as far as the school districts are concerned? How is that handled?
Well, again, people call us, and school districts have a lot of turnover. And so sometimes we don't go back,
Okay.
and sometimes we do go back, just based on one. And this year, several people called me and just said, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, so am I.
Right, sure.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
this is all right.
So give me an example. I mean, the bird, we're in the classroom now. All the students are right out here.
Okay,
Use your imagination again.
all right.
Occasionally, I think you do that as well.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what your presentation amounts to.
Oh my, I love to tell stories.
Tell me a
And-
story.
Well, I tell stories about some of the animals that have come through. I have PowerPoint, and actually, I start out in the presentation talking more about the fact that just like we did, animals are good for you, nature's good for you, and we need to learn and know about it. And then go on a little, and I share some stories about some of the people that I really admire, like. Oh gosh, my mind just went blank. Anyway, people that I really remember, like the guy who did the research. And then we get to some of the animals and some of the stories. And stories usually involve people, because people are the ones that found the animals. One story I love to tell is a little girl waiting for the school bus on the way to school, and there was a baby owl in the middle of the highway. Pretty dangerous place for a baby owl. So she ran home and got her mom, who brought a box, and they picked the owl up and brought her out to my place. And we found out that owl had fallen out of a nest right across the street from there. And so what we did, and it was so much fun, we went back over there. We couldn't get up to the nest because the parents were very good at building the nest in the very top of the tree.
Of course.
So we made our own nest out of a wicker basket and put it lower in the tree, and all the neighbors came to help. And so we made a lot of friends that day, and they watched out for her, and they put food out for the owls. Food very often for rehabbed animals is roadkill.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then everybody was there when we released the babies. Well, we didn't release them. They began leaving the nest, and then they came for the taking down of the nest and the celebration at the end that we had raised them. And every now and then I got a call, hey, Mom and Dad and the kids just flew overhead today.
Oh.
Good. And if their lifespan's as long as we think it might be, they probably have flown overhead a lot of times. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned the topic roadkill. It just happened to pop
Yeah.
into my mind. I watched not too long ago a parade of geese. I mean, the big geese and then the little tiny chicks
Yeah.
as they were crossing a highway.
Yeah.
And the lineup of cars from both directions that came to a complete stop and just waited.
Yes.
And
yeah.
it had been at 65 or 70, whatever miles an hour. It'd be so easy to watch the elimination of a
It
family,
would
if
have
you
been.
will.
I think that this whole thing really restores my faith in human beings too, because there are so many people that want to help and do so and go way out of their way. We have people drive across Iowa to bring us somebody. That's really neat that people will care so much. And it would be a lot easier not to do that.
Well, keeping in mind that a good share of us are living where they used to call home.
Oh, yes, we are.
We don't think about that enough, I don't
No,
think.
I don't think so.
I want to return once again to, you did such a wonderful job of scaring people off if they wanted to volunteer.
Oh, okay.
So again, if someone's interested in a little bit more about what you're doing, they're
Okay.
not quite sure how much time they have to help you, but where would they start? I know the phone number, the contact.
Okay, and that's where to start, and sometimes to share what they do. One group that I've had come out every year, but this year, is a group of nurses from Unity Point.
Aha.
And boy, they are good workers.
Well, we know
They
that.
really know how to do it.
Sure.
And they have a group that comes out maybe once a year. So that's kind of cool. I've had interns from college programs and high school projects that need to do some kind of a project or some volunteer or something in their field. Over the years, at least, I'm going to say 200 to 300 volunteers. It's a pretty wide span, but lots and lots of programs have sent volunteers out. And what they usually do is basically what I do, and most of it is feeding and cleaning.
Okay.
Yeah,
Somebody's got to do it.
yeah, somebody's got to do it. And so there's that. But other ways are, honestly and truly sharing the word, telling other people that, hey, if something happens, you have this number you can call, and they'll tell you what to do or help you. And what we've done over the years, at first we didn't have very many calls, but what's happened over the years is I think we do a lot more education over the phone. It's
Okay.
actually against the law to have a wild animal in your possession, okay? And so you have to go through a whole bunch of stuff to be a wildlife rehabilitator. And if we just kept somebody for the heck of it, that would be against the law too. And
Right.
we'd probably lose their license and get in a lot of trouble. But they definitely, if they see that baby bird on the ground, can call and say, hey, this is what I'm seeing. Is there a danger? And then I love to tell them, for a baby bird, they spend 3 weeks in the egg, 3 weeks in the nest with mom and dad feeding them and taking care of them, and then about 3 weeks going to school. They become fledglings, and they look a lot like mom and dad, but they have kind of a short, stubby tail, and they're learning and going to school. And so tell me more about your bird. It's on the ground. Tell me what it looks like. And that's wonderful because most of the time we say, leave it where it is. Or if you're uncomfortable, you can actually pick that little bird up and take it and put it in the bush maybe 10 feet away because they'll communicate. They talk to each other. And that old wives' tale about if you touch the bird?
Right.
Not true at all. There's no mom on this face of this earth that wouldn't take her baby back. So you've got that.
We learned something
Yeah.
pretty important just with that.
So it's so much fun to do the simple education.
Nobody can just hang up a sign, easy for me to say, hang up a sign and say, I'm going to be what she's doing. You got to
Yeah.
go through a lot of steps.
You do have to go through a lot of steps. You do, yeah. 2 years of, 1 to 2 to 3 years of internship. And then there's 2 levels. There's state and then there's federal. State level is animals native to Iowa, and that's through the DNR in Iowa.
Okay.
And that's the one that takes 1 or 2 years to get the license to do it. And they come out, they investigate your place, they talk to you and decide what your motives are and what you really want to do. And then the second level, if they want to go to it, and it's a lot harder to be accepted, is the federal level. The federal level would be migratory species and other animals from other places
Right.
in the United States. And that you have to go through a similar process with the federal government, and the paperwork is horrendous. Yeah, so there's that. And I think lately they've changed it every year. The computers made it even worse.
There was one of the questions I had said, I don't know, I'm going to ask that. How has technology changed? I'm sorry, I brought it up.
Both good and bad. It's made, like I said, the paperwork has changed so much. And I'm not a techie, and it's every time quite a challenge to find and then do what I need to do. And besides that, the federal government has billions of different kinds of licenses. Just finding the right one is a real challenge.
Okay.
On the other hand, when we started it, you couldn't find information on animals for, you know, you had the encyclopedia, which
Right.
was really weak in most cases, and they're finally they put a couple books out, you know, how to rehab. But now we've got the internet, and it's just absolutely fantastic.
So in
And
that way, it's been a good
it
thing.
has been a very good thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, in the process of discovering what I didn't know about the Black Hawk
Okay.
County Wildlife
All
Rehab,
right.
it was the internet
Okay.
that
yeah.
brought me to
yeah.
you. And I was fascinated by that child and her small dog,
Oh,
that
God.
Cocker
Yeah.
Spaniel Terrier mix that was named Sugar.
Sugar. Yeah.
How sweet.
Yeah.
How sweet.
Well, and to top it off, I didn't have brothers and sisters, so she was the whole Bailey work. She was all of it.
And your mom thought you'd grow out of it.
Yep, she did.
Yep. Didn't happen, Mom.
She hoped. But I didn't know.
Spirit, I'm sorry we didn't have time to ask you too many questions. But you look like you enjoyed yourself.
Yeah.
How can you tell now with the one eye? Oh, I just got a blink. Spirit's winking at me. I
Yeah.
feel good already.
She's very calm, and that's the way you tell. She's not excited, not angry. You saw a little anxiety at the very beginning, like, what are we doing? But
Yes.
yeah, but that went away.
And the
And
wings
it's
were moving before we actually
Yeah.
went on the air with this program. But she's very calm right now.
Yeah, and if anyone does wonder why she's in a position that's a little bit unusual for
Yes.
owls, she had been having some problems lately and was diagnosed. Apparently, it was a committee of vets that looked at her,
Okay.
and they said she has arthritis. So we have something in common now.
See, okay. You mentioned techie. I'm just
Yeah.
thinking somebody out there is saying, I wonder if I could be of some assistance to
Oh,
what Linda Nevy's doing with the wildlife rehabs. And again, one more time, if we could put the contact information up.
Sure.
Give Linda a call, and I'll bet you she could direct you to how you could help what she's doing in what she's doing for the goodness of our territory.
Yeah, well, and thank you, because we're completely volunteer, which I
Sure.
think is
Oh, yes.
really interesting. We, and in fact, I've got to say this, and I really hate to even talk about money, but since we began, we've never had a problem supporting what we do. And that's people who have been volunteers, both with time, but also with donations that have kept us going, and I find that amazing. Just absolutely
A
amazing.
lot of good people.
There are a lot of good people.
Among them, my guests. The Black Hawk County Wildlife Rehabilitation
Yeah.
Project is how we've been spending the past several months. Linda, thank you for joining us.
Well, I'm delighted, and you did ask a question. Another thing is, if you have, don't even have any ideas, just want to call and talk to us about something. Sometimes ideas come when you talk.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's happened just over the past half hour.
Okay.
Thank you for spending some of your time
Okay.
with us.
Good.
And you as well. Thanks for helping us in serving the Valley. I'm Roy Justice.